Imagine planning your wedding, not the fantasy version with unlimited money, a celebrity planner, and a vineyard in Tuscany. No, the real version. The one where you're budgeting every dollar, calling in favors from family, and trying your absolute best not to become that bride. You know the one. The Bridezilla. Well, this is the story of a bride who tried very hard to be the opposite of that, only to find herself in a very awkward argument over something that sounds ridiculously small: a dress. But not just any dress, a bridesmaid dress. And somehow, that dress started a friendship conflict just 1 month before the wedding. So the question is, was she being reasonable? Or was she turning into the very bridezilla she swore she'd never become? Let's get into it. First, a little background. The bride, let's call her Emily, was getting married this summer. And unlike a lot of weddings you see on social media, this wasn't some luxury, no expense spared event. Emily and her family were doing most of the planning themselves. No professional wedding planner, no massive budget, just family, friends, and a lot of careful planning. And honestly, Emily was proud of that. She had made a promise to herself early on. She was going to be a chill bride. No drama, no impossible demands, no forcing her friends to spend thousands of dollars just to stand beside her at the altar. Because the truth was, none of them were rich. Her friends had jobs, rent, bills, real life stuff. So Emily did everything she could to keep the wedding affordable for everyone. For example, the bachelorette party. Instead of some expensive destination trip, one of Emily's cousins offered something amazing. She said, "Hey, you can all stay at my house in Antioch, Tennessee, just outside Nashville." That meant they didn't have to pay for hotels. Another cousin even had a van big enough to drive everyone down together. So instead of flights and rental cars, they just split the gas. Cheap, simple, fun. Exactly what Emily wanted. She even told her bridesmaids something that most brides probably wouldn't say. "If anything about my wedding is stressing you out, tell me." She meant it. I'm the bride. I'm the only one who's supposed to be stressed. And honestly, before all of this, she felt like things were going shockingly smooth. Until the dresses happened. Every bride eventually has to deal with the bridesmaid dress problem. If you've ever been in a wedding party, you probably know what that means. Usually, the bride picks a dress that looks great in photos, but costs a fortune. And then the bridesmaids end up spending hundreds of dollars on a dress they'll probably never wear again. Emily hated that idea, so she went hunting for something better. And after a lot of searching, she found what felt like a miracle. The dresses were from Anthropologie. They were cocktail dresses, elegant, flattering, and most importantly, inclusive sizing so everyone could find something that fit. And the color? Perfect. But the real miracle? They were on sale. Like, really on sale. Emily saw an opportunity. She made a deal with her bridesmaids. She said, "I'll buy the dresses for everyone if you guys cover the cost of any alterations." Everyone thought that was more than fair. The dresses were beautiful. Everyone looked amazing in them. And the bridesmaids actually liked the style enough that they could wear the dresses again later, which felt like a huge win. No one was complaining. No one was stressed. For a moment, Emily thought, wow, people exaggerate about how hard wedding planning is. And then enter Roxy. Roxy was one of Emily's bridesmaids. They'd been friends for years. Funny, confident, a little outspoken, but generally someone Emily trusted. Everything was fine until December. One day, Emily was scrolling through social media when she saw a photo from Roxy's work Christmas party. At first, Emily was just casually looking, but then she noticed something. Roxy's dress looked very familiar. Emily stared at the picture a little longer, and then it clicked. It was the bridesmaid dress. the exact dress Roxy was supposed to wear at the wedding. Now, Emily didn't say anything, but she'd be lying if she said it didn't bother her. Just a little. Because part of the magic of a wedding is the reveal. That moment when the bridesmaids walk down the aisle and everyone sees the dresses together for the first time, and now, well, Emily had already seen one of them at a corporate Christmas party. It kind of felt like seeing your wedding decorations at someone else's office mixer. But she told herself something important. Don't be petty. None of their mutual friends were at that party. No wedding guests had seen it. So she let it go. No confrontation, no drama. Everything was still fine until the next conversation. A few months later, another friend in their group announced her wedding. And the date? June. Just 1 month before Emily's wedding, which meant something important. A lot of the same people would be attending both weddings. Emily didn't think much about it at first, until one day she casually asked Roxy, "So, what are you wearing to Sarah's wedding?" Roxy answered immediately, "Oh, I'm just wearing the bridesmaid dress from your wedding." Emily blinked. "What?" Roxy shrugged. "I look hot in it. It's my favorite dress right now." Now Emily paused, because suddenly this wasn't just a random office party anymore. This was a wedding. A wedding full of the exact same friend group that would be attending her wedding a month later, which meant the big reveal that wouldn't really be a reveal anymore. So Emily tried to explain. She said something like, "Hey, I'd really rather you didn't wear the bridesmaid dress to that wedding." She tried to keep her tone calm. "I kind of want the first time everyone sees that dress to be at my wedding." Seems simple, right? Well, Roxy did not take it that way. Immediately, she accused Emily of being a bridezilla. Roxy reminded her of something Emily herself had said earlier. "You told us you picked these dresses so we could wear them again." Which was true. Emily had said that. But in her mind, that meant after the wedding, not before it. Not to another wedding filled with the exact same people. Emily tried to explain that. But then Roxy dropped a little bombshell. Apparently, the Christmas party wasn't the only time she'd worn it. She had already worn the dress to several events. At that point, Emily admits she might have snapped a little. She said something like, "Well, I bought the dress, so I'd prefer if you didn't wear it again until after my wedding." And that's when Roxy fired back. Because, according to her, she had also spent money on the dress. Remember the deal? Emily bought the dresses. The bridesmaids paid for alterations. And according to Roxy, those alterations weren't cheap. In fact, because the dress had been on sale. Roxy claimed she had probably spent about the same amount of money on tailoring as Emily spent buying the dress, which meant, in her mind, she had just as much right to wear it whenever she wanted. And from her perspective, Emily was massively overreacting. It's just a dress. That's what Roxy kept saying. Just a dress. Now the friend group was split. Emily's other bridesmaids were on her side. They understood why she wanted the dresses to be special for the wedding. But Roxy felt completely justified. In her mind, she was simply wearing a dress she liked. A dress she helped pay for. A dress that Emily had literally encouraged them to wear again. So now Emily was left wondering something she never expected to ask. Was she becoming the bridezilla she tried so hard not to be? Was it unreasonable to want the bridesmaid dresses to make their first appearance at the wedding itself? Or was Roxy right? Was it really just a dress? And honestly, this is one of those situations where both sides have arguments. On one hand, weddings are emotional. You spend months planning tiny details. So it makes sense that Emily wants the moment to feel special. She imagined her bridesmaids standing beside her, all in matching dresses, looking amazing. And she didn't want guests thinking, "Oh yeah, Roxy wore that last month." But on the other hand, Roxy technically didn't break any rules. Emily never explicitly said the dress couldn't be worn beforehand. And if someone spends money altering a dress, it's understandable that they'd want to wear it, especially if they love how they look in it. So now the question goes to you. Was Emily justified? Or was she taking the whole wedding thing a little too seriously? Because when it comes down to it, this entire conflict comes down to a surprisingly simple question. Is it reasonable to control when someone else wears a dress just because it's going to appear in your wedding? Or does that cross the line into Bridezilla territory? Let me know what you think.